Hello, my name is Mariam. I am a film student at ELTE in Budapest, a film theory student. We really, really loved your film, and this is why we're here to ask you a couple of questions. So we're very glad that you could actually connect and be here with us today. So the first question is, in the film, you and Sakhi get to know each other gradually. It takes some time. We learn what you do, what both of you do, where you live, and how your lives intertwine. So the question is, how did you come up with the idea to make Sahi and his studio the central focus of the film? And how did you first discover him and his studio?
Yeah, this film was part of my PhD research, and I had been going to the studios maybe more than 15 years. So I keep going there, and there are lots of studios in the same market. But Sakhi was the only one who was making it feel like home for me. Like everyone is very hospitable, but then he's the only one who would make his own tea. And he would offer me to have tea, and that means that it's not about work, but it's about let's talk to each other, let's spend time with each other. He's gonna cook tea, so it takes time. So I think that made me realize that okay, he's really accepting me to be in his space, and that's where I decided we can make a film together. But also, he would also propose me things. So of course, I would have some ideas, but then he would also break my ideas and say, maybe we can do this and that. So it was with this cooperation that we could do that.
He was a very interesting character, and we really loved the film and to follow it. Thank you.
Hello, nice to meet you. My name is Yewon Shin, and first of all, I really enjoyed your film, and it's really honored to have this opportunity. And thank you for your time today. Next, yeah, I'd like to ask, like you and Shaki both work with cameras, but your working condition and income differ greatly. Like in your place, I might have softened the moment with a light job when he asked about your salary or camera model. But you choose not to, which felt like a deliberate act of respecting him as he is. I think so. And I want to ask, like, did facing that gap create any personal difficulty or inner conflict? And how did you navigate it?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. Thank you for that. Of course, there I wanted to understand the social class, but also image making practices or economics of image making practice. Why do I get to earn certain amount of money and maybe Sakhi not? Or why is my work considered art and his work not? And it's like a conflict between art and craft. And I had a lot of internal conflicts, like maybe is it me exploiting it or not? Or so I thought the best would be for me to put the situation on the camera and then have a dialogue with Sakhi about that. And I think that really made things good for me to be honest about um, our own socioeconomic class. We have different cameras, we work in different environment. Of course, we are both photographers, but then there's a difference. So I thought it's really good to put it in the film and then, not to talk about why, but it's like it exists and it exists everywhere in the world. Like if you have a camera, you definitely have a position of power. So I understood that I have a position of power, but and Sakhi would have position of power to his customers. So for example, and then it was nice to put these two together.
Thanks for the answer. It's really interesting. Yeah.
Did you have to follow up with this question? Did you have any discussions with him on how you are going to tell about his work, like what about his salary, like these little details that are important to the viewers, but are maybe very personal to him?
No, because he's in a market and it's his daily work to talk about money. He's always asking, negotiating with customers how much money he's going to charge. So it was simple, but of course, we discussed beforehand that maybe in one of the scenes we can talk about our own, how much money do we make. So I think he was very comfortable with that.
All right, that's very nice. The next question is, throughout the film, we only see men taking pictures, men and boys, children, male children visiting the photo studio, while no women inside, even though in many countries, women actually like to take pictures more than men. So was this a coincidence, or women are less or interested or perhaps not encouraged to take this kind of pictures, edit them in these photo studios?
Yeah, it's a bit complex to say, but this city is very gender segregated. So there's spaces for women and there's spaces for men. So like hair salon for women and hair salon for men, photography studio for women, photography studio for men, or cafes also have like segregated spaces for women and men. So in that regard, this market is dominated by men. So that's why there are less women are visiting these studios. Of course, there are studios where women can visit, but there's also maybe women are afraid that they might end up as like an imaginary girlfriend for someone else's photograph if they have their photograph taken. So for the sake of their privacy, they're not going there. But of course, there are studios which are run by women. But for me, let's say as a man, it's also not possible to have access to their privacy. So maybe that's why we see all men, and maybe it's also about masculine fantasies or desires in the film.
But while you were there filming every day, did any woman actually enter this photo studio, maybe with their brothers or children?
Yes, they were, but I was not allowed to film. So I kind of had to respect their privacy. So I was told to leave the studio. So, I can leave my camera and film, but I think it's not ethical. So I decided not to do that.
Yeah, absolutely makes sense in a
Mhm.
country where they're segregated. Thank you.
And next, I want to ask about the humor because I think in Make It Look Weird, you're a villain. I think you sustain humor within a heavy subject. For example, by showing the process of photo compositing, editing. And I want to ask, when you use comedy, what guiding principles or personal philosophy do you follow? Or, for example, where you draw lines, how do you decide placement and timing, and how editing helps maintain the balance.
Mhm. I think it was a challenge for me to make it not a comedy film so that people can laugh at the people or people exoticize uh, the photograph or people, especially we show it in the European context. So for me, um, I had to let me think, how to. It was a big challenge to make it not funny. Like I really didn't want to make it funny so that people laugh at the pictures, but maybe people laugh at Sakhi if he's making joke, for instance. And I think it was process of editing, but also I did a lot of rough cut screening. So I was trying to see and observe at what point people are laughing. But also I was doing rough cut screening at two different places in Pakistan with the community, but also in Belgium where I'm living and I'm doing my PhD. So I was trying to understand how a European audience react to certain things. Do they laugh at the aesthetics or do they laugh at the jokes? And how Pakistani audience respond to things. And for me, those two were very different because what I realized was, mostly in European context, they were laughing at the aesthetics because it's alien to them. It's not an aesthetic they can relate to. But in Pakistan, people were laughing at the jokes that Sakhi is making. So for them, the context is natural or normal. Um, so I don't know if I could answer it, if I did give you an answer, but this was my challenges.
It was quite ironic in some parts, I guess. Not deliberately, probably, but when
Yeah.
we watched it, we had really mixed feelings about different things, and in a good way, of course.
Yeah, I think my goal was to, I know people will laugh because it's an aesthetic that is not normal to them. So they will laugh. So I think it really helped us in the editing that we let people laugh. We show them like at the beginning of the film, they see these pictures and then they laugh. But then slowly, when they get deeper with the conversation with me and Sakhi and conflicts and desires of the people, perhaps my aim was that people can question their laugh. So maybe at the end, if people question their laugh, I think I'm very happy that the film is did well. But if they don't, then maybe I feel it's a failure.
Thank you for the answer. I asked this question because in our course, we watched so many trailers about our movie film, but uh, in the class, we really laugh with your when watch your film's trailers. So I really impressed at that point, and so yeah.
Uh, we had to choose some films. So when we studied, sorry, so we had to choose from a list of films, and we just watched the trailers. And when I watched, like when I saw like 1 minute of a sequence of it, I was very like impressed by the how artificial it looks like, because it feels like it's just a box with like decorations. Like the studio is just a square, and the whole film is happening inside this square. You know, like we don't see any other places, and that's what actually caught my eye to figure out how you are going to put like the whole thing in 1 hour and a half, as far as I remember, and you know, just like a little place to discover. So was choosing the studio also like the decorations itself was a deliberate choice?
Yes, I think my goal was not to leave the studio, and I had to because in the beginning I was really lost because there are many studios next to each other, so it's like too much overwhelming. And when I met Sakhi, I decided that I have to create my limitation, so I will never leave the studio. So I stayed there, and also for the audience, I will probably create this idea of they can feel the city through sound, and maybe one or two times they can see the city, but I don't show the city. And um, for me, it was really helpful to be in that one space and then think more creatively rather than being lost there and there. Um, but of course, it's a longer film, so we tried to leave the studio a couple of times. Maybe you notice, like we go to the market, but we come back, but we never leave the shopping complex. And I think that was one of the best decisions for me to create this limitation. Otherwise, I would have been lost.
Thank you.
Yes, and then I want to ask, in the final sequence, the rose placed on the gun you are holding stands out. And I want to ask, what does the rose symbolize? And also, when the backgrounds fade to black and only your two head remain aligned horizontally as the end credits roll. And personally, I read it as revealing the essence beneath diverse realities that are ultimately the same. But I want to ask, what did you intend the scene to express, and what does it mean to you?
Yeah, I think towards the end we used the animation, and perhaps it's also talking about the space. So of course we're filming in one space, but then this space of the Photoshop was infinite for us. So we use it like in a sequence of the musician, but also towards the end. And also there were certain things that I would not agree with. For example, why do I have a gun in my hand? So perhaps maybe I add a flower on the gun. Or why my skin is whiter, so I try to change my skin back to how it can look originally. Um, And then it's also about when you go to a studio, it's about a kaleidoscopic representation of the society that you can choose. Okay, this is people desire. They want to be politician. They want to be a warrior. They want to be a hunter. They want to express love. They want to express heartbreak. Um, but everything is designed, and the only thing that makes it a portrait of you is your face. Everything is outsourced, you know. So it's the same design, but I can have pictures of all three of us, but we will put just replace the face. So then it becomes me, it becomes Mariam, it becomes Yewon, just because of the face. So then, and this was also my research was about to understand like what is a photograph, what is a portraiture. If you replace our body, if you replace the background, does it still remain us, or does it remain something different? And that's where I try to deconstruct that photographs towards the end, and what remains is the face. I hope it was an answer that you understood.
Yes, definitely. Very interesting. Another question we have, the people in the film are very authentic, like all of them, like the children from the village and Sakhi himself and all the visitors that attend the photo studio. And they are very touching. Like when we hear their thoughts, even though some of them say very controversial things, it's still, we have a very good idea of them eventually. So, how did you manage to capture such natural and honest behavior on screen?
Mm, I always took permission before uh, when people came, and I told them I'm filming this, and that's why maybe they agreed to give me an interview. Of course, a lot of people said no, so I never did that. So I didn't want to film someone by hiding. And maybe I think because it's a studio space and the presence of camera is normal, um, that made it maybe comfortable for people to have another camera in that space. So, you know, the camera becomes invisible because it's a photo studio and that's where the camera exists. But they were aware that I was filming, but then everything happened so naturally. And of course, I also did film more, but that didn't happen in this beautiful way. So in the editing, I kept those pieces which looked like people were not really bothered by the camera.
Yes, it looked very raw, it looked very authentic, and that's what we actually loved about it, I think. And I think the most interesting question for us to know, you promised that you would do your best to invite Sakhi to some film festivals and, you know, as the main protagonist. So were you actually able to invite him? And if yes, how did he feel about it? And what is the current situation with the photo studio and Sakhi himself?
Yeah, so last year, Sakhi shut down his studio. So he's not, there's no, this studio that you see is not there anymore. And he's trying to make money to give it to a smuggler so that the smuggler will take him to Australia or somewhere else so that he can work. I had a lot of film festivals, but the problem was either the festivals were not inviting him, which means that then he can never get a visa, or if they were inviting him, we didn't have enough time to get a visa. So, for example, in the US, they wanted to invite him, but the first visa appointment was in 5 months, and the festival happens in 1 month. So we could not make it happen. And it's very complicated because a lot of institutions don't want to take responsibility of inviting him. And I cannot invite him as well. I'm also stuck here with my visa. So, for example, it's my mobility is also limited, and there's a chance that I cannot come to Budapest because my visa is not renewed yet. So I'm like stuck here. And also I cannot invite anyone else because I'm also stuck, you know, and I don't have enough finances or institutional support that can allow a visa for him. So in this way, I'm still trying, but I don't think it will work unless some institution says we want to invite him. We will pay his hotel. We will pay his flight. We will pay his food. We will pay his insurance. We will invite him for 5 days. Then only he can apply for a visa. But otherwise, it's not possible. So for now, I don't see anything positive about that. It's a sad thing, but also I'm also struggling with my visa, so I might not be able to make it also towards you, but I'm waiting.
I guess it's a very typical situation with the visas and everything. It's quite sad. We would love to see you here at Verzió. And are you staying in touch, or are you in touch with Sakhi generally? Does he know about your success and the film festival?
Yeah, I sent him some videos. Like my biggest beautiful film screening was in Belgium. It was like a house full, 400 people, and people wanted to thank Sakhi. So we made a video and then we sent it to him. I do keep sharing some of these moments with him, but I don't do a lot because I feel bad because, he maybe want to be there, but he cannot. So I don't want to send him all the fun that is happening. The good thing is we're doing a premiere in Pakistan in December. So in that way, we are trying for him to be also present at the premiere in different cities. So I hope it works out and we have the money and all.
So people haven't seen it in Pakistan yet, I assume.
No, it hasn't been premiered yet. Of course, I showed it to the community when I was doing rough cut screening. Sakhi was there as well, but it has not been shown publicly. So it will be shown now in December.
I guess it's very important for you to show it in Pakistan more than in Europe. Do you have some um, expectations, or how do you think people will perceive the film there?
I'm curious. I don't know, but I'm really curious and I'm really happy the film is going to be shown to the places where it has been filmed and people might be relate more. I think I'm very happy, and especially if Sakhi can be there, I think it will be also a nice moment for him to talk to people. And I would love to record it so that every time this question comes, like how does Sakhi feel and all, so we can show it.
That would be great to show it there, I guess. Well, these are all our questions for today. We are very glad that you could make it to answer this couple of questions, and we wish you the best in your career. And we are really excited to see more of your films, documentary or not. So thank you so much.
Thank you. It was a beautiful interview, and I think you worked a lot to make really interesting questions. And I'm very happy to have spoken to both of you. Thank you very much. And I hope I can see you in Verzió if my visa comes on time.